Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has a reputation for being imbalanced and chaotic, and not in the good way. This is especially true when you take into account Wanda's character arc in this film. I personally don't like it at all, and I'll tell you why as soon as we're done with the recap. We open with a chase scene with Defender Doctor Strange and America Chavez heading towards the Book of Vishanti. After receiving a fatal wound from a demon, Doctor Strange makes a choice. Take America Chavez's power and hopes the ability to traverse the multiverse dies with him. Of course, if this happened, we wouldn't have a movie. America manages to portal herself inadvertently into another universe. Meanwhile, the actual Doctor Strange sees this as a nightmare and heads towards Christine's wedding in the morning. We get Dr. West from the original film, who asks Strange whether or not it was worth to trade the Time Stone and sacrifice half the universe for 5 years in order to beat Thanos. It's pretty clear that Christine getting married to someone else isn't sitting well with Stephen at all. After the wedding, we see the reception where Stephen turns a glass of water into wine. If you're thinking of a Jesus joke, the movie already made it. We get the reason why Christine and Stephen didn't work out so well. Stephen always has to be the protagonist or the puppet master, which really doesn't work well when it comes to relationships like this. However, we're not going to go through this any further. We're going to have to cut to something else. But before that, I have to say, I'm not a fan of this plot, mainly because Stephen and Christine's relationship really isn't that important. I mean, it had some ground in the original film, but his subsequent appearances don't seem to support that he's in a relationship or is struggling with a relationship with her, so she's so out of focus that it really feels like this doesn't matter. Anyway, Shuma Gorath is going on a rampage. Yes, I'm aware it's a different name because of, film rights reasons, but hey, this is Shuma Gorath, the character we're trying to emulate from the comics, no matter what kind of name it's going under, so I'm going to use its name. One thing I will praise this movie for is making the magic feel far more magical than the last Doctor Strange film. After the magical pair of hands gouges out the eye of Shuma Gorath right here, America explains that she can travel the multiverse and someone is after her. She proves this by showing off Defender Strange's corpse. Basically, the dreams are a window into the lives of other versions of yourself within the multiverse. If only we had a character who could be used for a dream threat, instead of Wanda. However, in both Strange's dream and the Shuma Gorath creature, we note these things are present. Runes. They're dealing with witchcraft. Wanda, specifically, who dreams of her kids. Honestly, the idea of dreams being a version of yourself from other universes does make a great, horrifying concept on paper, which is why I'm sad they didn't do more with it. The idea that you can sleep and find yourself happy and knowing that the dream is real somewhere, and then waking up to the real nightmare must be taxing on someone's sanity, especially if that person's dreaming of lost loved ones or things that could have gone right. Maybe in other universes, they didn't get hurt by someone else. They were the one doing the hurting before they were able to become a victim. Like I said, great concept. Just kind of sad it's sort of just left here as just lore when they could have built a theme and a movie around this very concept. When Strange visits Wanda, she tries to convince him to let America stay where Wanda is. However, Stephen never told Wanda the name of the girl. Yep, Wanda is the main villain of Multiverse of Madness. Guess at the scene at the end of WandaVision where she hears her children calling out to her for help was absolutely left on the cutting room floor. Seriously, who was Multiverse of Madness made for? Those of us who watched WandaVision are confused as hell as to why the hell she's gone full Dr. Evil mode. Meanwhile, the casual audience who remember Wanda's appearance in the end of Endgame but haven't watched WandaVision, they are baffled as to why she's a villain and are probably pulling out their phones in the theaters going, okay, what the hell just happened? Why is she evil? Is there a comic basis for this? Then you float the Darkhold. I am aware she got the Darkhold in WandaVision. At the same time, well, it corrupted her is not a great reason, at least how it's portrayed in the story. Oh, I might be yapping about corruption later, but I'm not going to let that stop me from yapping at Stephen. Okay, Stephen, You're telling the nutcase who can warp reality that her children aren't real. Like, I get where this is coming from. House of M and Avengers Disassembled did this trick as well. It's the same problem they both have. Repeatedly yelling at the reality warper, your kids weren't real, get over it, doesn't exactly make them stop believing they are, especially if you had an actual relationship with these illusions, essentially. Because it's easy to make people get rid of objects, but it's hard for them to get rid of relationships. Relationships both real and perceived, and when you can literally warp reality, who's to tell you that those relationships aren't real? Wanda even offers a universe to Strange where he could be happy with Christine. Once again, the romance with Christine really wasn't a big thing in the original, and it really has been brought up in subsequent appearances, so this kinda is just... It feels very manufactured. Another problem I have with this movie, the disposable alternate universe nonsense. Here I can sorta buy it, mainly because Wanda, who is the big bad of this movie, is spouting it, but the narrative needs some work. Time for a fight. Also Cantonese cameo. Then we get Wanda going, this is me being reasonable, and she starts slaughtering her way through Camartage, disintegrating people left and right. And while we do get this great mirror dimension sequence and the Raimi-esque horror sequence, the story always manages to find a way to undercut itself. Wanda seems fixated on her children. Does Division not exist? I mean, it feels a bit off to not mention the Vision in all this. I think he only gets mentioned twice. One in the orchard, one about Wanda blowing a hole through the head of the man she loved. Where exactly is the Vision in all this? This is one of the people she probably wants to bring back. Why is she just going to a universe where she can just do that? Why only the children? Why not just get Vision as well? But no, apparently it's just the kids. Why? Why only the kids but not the Vision? Anyways, America's power activates, and they end up in another universe. We also learn that America's powers first manifested when she freaked out over a wasp landing on her, which sent her mothers into the multiverse. Was anyone else laughing at this? Like, I get this is supposed to be framed as horrific, but the way it actually comes off is funny. Meanwhile, Wanda dreamwalks and possesses a version of herself from that universe. And I must commend that Billy and Tommy are into Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. However, their song about ice cream makes me cringe. It's like it's written for characters who are probably half their age. Meanwhile, the sorceress named Sarah says she's going to make a grab for the Darkhold and ends up burning to death trying to destroy it. She successfully destroys it. While it's easy to criticize her for not going for Wanda while she is, well, not turning her attention towards them, she does take a direct magical cannon shot earlier. The thing made out of parchment and human flesh is probably far more vulnerable than Wanda. Now, they need to head to Chthon's temple on Mount Wundagore, because that's where the Darkhold was transcribed. Oh, and Strange got him and America trapped with the Illuminati, who summons Doctor Strange. Meanwhile, Wong gets to see Chthon's tomb. The Illuminati are accurate to their comic book counterparts. Obviously not the lineup, but their whole shtick of a bunch of inept dolts who think they know better than anyone else also ends up playing with power they cannot control, vastly underestimating their enemies, and, I don't know, getting ripped apart horrifically. In some cases, more literal than others. Anyways, Strange and crew head towards the Book of Vishanti. While they reach the book, the law of explained plan strikes again. The success of a given plan is inversely proportional to how much it is explained beforehand. Using America, Wanda tosses Steven and the alternate Christine into a dead world. I could snark about how she could have just tossed them into an active volcano, the void of space, or the sun, but let's face it, that's not going to make any difference. They'll somehow get out of there. Now time to take her power and use it to control the multiverse. Basically, Strange is dealing with Sinister Strange and how he never got over his love for Christine and how toxic this can be, and interesting musical fight scene, and Sinister Strange getting impaled on the fencing. In another sequence I enjoy, Strange possesses the corpse of the Defender Strange he had buried earlier and uses it to face Wanda, using the souls of the damned to fight her off, and eventually sealing her up. Then he uses the corpse to give America the pep talk she needs. The whole sequence where America takes her to Billy and Tommy, who are horrified at Wanda, is strong. On paper. The problem is that it's undercut by the rest of the movie and how this scene is framed. I'll get to this later. Wanda destroys Wundagore and every single copy of the Darkhold in existence. America is now the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Strange suffers from YouTube thumbnail syndrome, and Clea appears. For those of you who don't know, she's Dormammu's niece. The end. This movie is bad. Annoying orange special effects aside, we need to talk about how it functions. As a follow-up to WandaVision, it seems to do more to betray WandaVision than anything else. This was a show about Wanda processing grief. So when she lost Vision again, and then her children, possibly way stronger than the original loss, she does not utterly get consumed by her own grief. Her children calling out to her at the end of WandaVision implies that Wanda acts the way she does, believing that her children are legitimately alive. There's also this sentiment within this movie where Wanda seems to treat alternate universes as replacement goldfish or just interchangeable with the people from this universe. This certainly has thematic parallels with her in America. America believes her mothers are dead somewhere in the multiverse and is mostly over them. She still has regret over what happens, but she has at least processed that grief correctly. Wanda knows that her children are dead and wants to use the multiverse to basically replacement goldfish them. I am happy with the whole Billy, Tommy, Wanda confrontation. However, I don't think the movie actively supports the idea of Wanda sitting back and going, "These aren't my children. They will never be my children. I lost my children. They can never replace them." Because, well, they aren't her children. They don't have the same experiences they do. They don't have the same lives. This is kinda a point where you should be putting that, because so far Wanda has been treating the multiverse as her collection of her pet store, essentially. Hey, when one goldfish is dead, just get another. But the narrative doesn't seem to support this idea, mainly because it treats other universes as rather expendable, like goldfish, who are known for having very short lifespans. The Scarlet Witch as a threat to existence in the multiverse is something I'm not happy with. Guys, you need to actually make sure we give a crap about the multiverse itself and the residents within it before you start smashing reality. Oh wait, I was talking about characters for a moment. Anyone else get the feeling that Billy and Tommy are written like they are half their age, like they were in WandaVision? Stupid song about ice cream aside, their first instinct is to pelt the Scarlet Witch with objects. Yes, I get it's an alternate universe, but at the same time, hard to come off of WandaVision where they actually have powers and use them, and then had them do whatever this movie was doing. If Wanda had commented on this, like saying her actual children would have used her powers to fight, what the hell is wrong with them, then I could get the idea that the movie was thematically meant to do something like this, to have Wanda realize these aren't toys that I have, these are real people. Distance between things in this movie and in WandaVision aside, I still question heavily a few other problems with this movie. Incursions are brought up as events which the barriers between realities rip apart and reality collapses itself, something the Illuminati fears that Doctor Strange will cause. I question whether anyone had any cohesive idea what the multiverse saga should have been, because universes smashing into each other sounds like an Avengers-level threat, which was an Avengers-level threat in Secret War. So clearly this sounds like something they set up for future projects to explore, but so few projects have any cohesive vision or cohesive through line that I'm just left baffled as to what they intended to do with this saga at all. So, in a nutshell, with this whole movie, if you came into this movie off the heels of WandaVision, It feels like a slap in the face to make Wanda the villain from the get-go. It's narratively poor to go, well, the Darkhold just fed off her grief and corrupted her. I'm just saying, it's not good to go off-screen and do a corruption of someone who just goes on a slaughtering rampage throughout this movie. She just got her own TV show. She can get a corruption arc on screen. That's just sad. You don't do this to your villain, and you don't do this to a character who had her own TV show. I mean, really, it's so frustrating to see Wanda just basically go on a rampage with a Darkhold, to the point that the whole showing rather than telling is just thrown out the window. I know you shouldn't show everything and you shouldn't tell everything, but you need to show something that is relevant. And Wanda getting corrupted by the Darkhold, oh, she just dipped her hands in more nail polish. Ooh, evil costume now. It's just not how you do this. She's a main character. Give her the main character treatment. Get her corrupted as a main character. And then you can have her do the evil rampaging. Otherwise, it just comes off as her just rampaging because she's gone nuts. And honestly, I think Wanda has gone nuts so many times in the comics, or at least in popular perception of her, that it's just not gonna work anymore. It's just become less of an effective storytelling tool and more of an annoyance. If you've come here for Doctor Strange, he comes off as quite out of focus because this film really isn't about Strange at all. It's about Wanda. I found the whole flaw of Stephen wanting to hold the scalpel in the surgery lesson to be annoying. It would have made a lot more sense if we had stuck to the theme of him surrendering the stone to Thanos as him holding that scalpel, rather than Wanda offering him to be with Christine. The whole idea of Strange wanting to always be in control and not surrender control, either him being a puppet master or him being the protagonist, only works better with the stone as a concept being handed to Thanos, not with this Christine thing. This Christine-Strange relationship feels more like a romantic side story that just expanded way too much into the main plot. If you're here for creative multiverse nonsense, sorry, it doesn't do much with the multiverse as a whole. The cardinal sin of a multiverse story is to maim and kill off a bunch of characters without giving us a reason, thematic or story-wise, to actually care about them, and to jump straight into multiversal destruction. Overall, this film is being pulled in so many directions. You have Wanda's storyline over here, Strange's storyline over there, Wong giving lore dumps about the first demon right here. Then you have the nature of the incursions over here. Then you have the superhero/horror tones clashing with each other, and there's a lot more. This ultimately leaves nobody satisfied in poorly constructed soup. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please consider liking, subscribing, tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.